Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex, and I would greatly appreciate it if you want to support me or support the channel if you would consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there and it inspires me to keep creating. Now, today we are going to do one final Temptation Island video. Netflix did release an official article, I guess. The reunion is an article. I'm sorry, but the reunion is an article on every couple's status, what happened after the show. I know that people have been going around various platforms and doing interviews, but those are not the people that I want to personally hear from. So let's read through this article. Of course, I'm going to give my thoughts. Of course, you can read this article by yourself if you would like to, but I just wanted to give my thoughts, my opinions, and yeah, let's just have one final last key about Temptation Island, wrap it up, talk about it as a season. So let me pull the article up and we will go ahead and get started. I will share my screen here and let's jump into it. I'm gonna make it big for you guys. So, Temptation Island. Which Temptation Island couples are still together and where are they now? And I'm using a new service, so I just want to make sure my screen is okay before we begin. All right. So, after enduring plenty of trouble in paradise, plus multiple shared showers, tearful heart to hearts, and yes, even a threesome, the four couples who traveled to Temptation Island have now answered their question: is the relationship built to last? By the end of the new season, two original couples left the island together. Remember Shanté and Brion and Lino and Lex, and two went their separate ways. But after the final bonfire, things have gotten crazier. So let's jump on in to what happened. Our first couple is Lex and Lino. And if you're new here, I don't say her name because I got the smart speaker, okay? And when I watch the show, it sets my speaker off the whole time. But their current status is that they are still engaged. Lex and Lino's time on Temptation Island proved that getaways bring them closer than ever. The happy couple is planning their dream destination wedding in Sorrento, Italy for fall of next year. For the foreseeable future, Lex will be sweating about the wedding details while also completing her nurse practitioner program, but the two are not worried about a jam-packed schedule. After the show, they know that whatever challenges arise, they always have each other's back. Lino and I are a team, Lex says. Every single word that we were both saying throughout the experiment, we were thinking of the other person. So the two made sure to get on the same page after filming ended to debrief on the highs and lows of their experience. We did a little 3-day vacation together in Hawaii and we discussed everything she shares. There was nothing to hide. So they basically talk a lot about how they laid everything out. Their communication was better. They used all those different skills to then go back to their regular lives and navigate challenges. Now, recently they did move again for Lex's job, but this time Lino had no qualms. They have come up with a clear plan for the future that serves them both. Lino, let me say, has entrepreneurial aspirations that align with Lex. Once she finishes school and they tie the knot, they will finally move one last time back to Florida where they can be close to family and open a clinic together. Okay. See, I said with the two of them from the start that these two just needed to figure out a plan. I think of all of the relationships, they seemingly actually had a good foundation. And for me personally, I just felt that they really did need to figure out how both of them can get what they are looking for. I just felt like they were the one couple that was not like the others. So I'm glad to hear that it seems like they really did sit down, talk things through, figure out what they both need so they can continue on. At the end of the day, when you are with someone in the medical field, it is daunting. Whether you're dating a doctor, a nurse, it is a very daunting experience going through residency, going through school. And so it does take strong footing to be with somebody like that. So I'm glad they figured it out. Now, as much as this experience cemented Lex and Lino's commitment, he describes their relationship as indestructible. It showed them the importance of focusing on personal growth. And Lino still keeps a journal, which helps him stay positive, and Lex trusts her gut, which she didn't have before. So these two are still together. Again, they seemingly have worked out the issues that they potentially had when it came to the entire, oh my goodness, Lino is so upset. And notice they didn't even mention the whole she was exclusive with two people, because I told y'all, I just knew that that was a nothing burger. Let's get on to the real couple, Shanté and Brion. And yes, they are still together. They are still together. Is anybody surprised? Because I am surely not surprised. I knew that Shanté and Brion would still be together. Let's jump into it. So after leaving Temptation Island together, Shanté and Brion stayed up all night talking about the experience, which gave them both a sense of closure. I don't think we'd ever talk that much nonstop before, Shanté tells Tadoom. This is what is so crazy to me. I believe these two had a 1 year or at max 1.5 year relationship. And it's so crazy to me that there are couples that don't have conversations. I just feel like even in relationships I've had that are bad, and maybe it's just the kind of person I am, I have had deep conversations with my partner. We have talked about life, we've talked about our feelings. I just never have had an experience being in a relationship where it's like, oh my God, I didn't know anything about you. I didn't know how you felt about anything. What do you guys do all day? I'm just curious, like, what you do in a relationship like that if you don't have the conversations. But anyway, since we came back home, these conversations have just kept going. Shanté admits that she wishes it did not take a threesome with other women for Brion to realize what he really wanted. As sad as it is, and as annoying as it is, I don't know that we would have had those conversations if that didn't happen, she adds. We could have just been down this bad spiral of not really knowing how each other feels. Shanté knows that people will have a lot of opinions about her decision to stay with Brion. Oh, we sure do, sis. We are all wondering why. But given their history, she was willing to hear him out instead of automatically judging his behavior. I could tell it was more physical and not an emotional thing, she says. I'm just, again, I do not understand this idea that if it's only a physical relationship, it does not matter. Because that to me sounds even worse, Shanté, because that seems to indicate to me that he could just have physical attractions and relationships really quickly and then drop that. That doesn't worry you. I'm just being honest. That does not worry you that he's not going to see a hot woman at a bar and then get these urges again. I just don't really get that argument. And she's continuing to make that argument. Now, for Brion, the wild night gave him clarity about the kind of partner he wants to be moving forward. I regret what I did, but I've grown up a lot, he says. Going straight from the world of college basketball into a corporate job, Brion says Temptation Island was his first opportunity to do some serious self reflection. I even cried talking about how I grew up, something I hadn't thought about in forever. It was a big learning experience for me to really see the value of the woman I have. So it took having a threesome. Okay. These two are still making me irritated. Shanté and Brion, who are now both in therapy, at least they're seeing the lady. At least they're seeing the lady, are on track to move in together once his lease is up. And they've been leaning on their families and mentors for support. Having someone who is older, married, and looks like me to talk has been really, really good, Brion says. They're both looking forward to a future that includes marriage, lots of travel, and hopefully kids. Until then, these best friends are content spending every day together, cooking, working out, and hanging at home. As Brion says, we're chill people who are just trying to survive their 20s. Um, I'm not surprised they're still together. I could have told you they were 100% still together. I knew that. And they're seeing the lady. And so, you know what? I'm not really rooting for this relationship, but hey, if it's true that in this present moment, Brion has really changed his mind in life about everything, which I find extremely hard to believe. If Shanté likes it, I love it, I guess. I just am shocked that there's not more to it. But they claim they're in therapy. But I will say this, I have went to couples therapy with somebody who was a dang lie. And they even lied to the therapist that it went nowhere. We did not work out. So, okay. Anyway, Tayler. in a relationship. And remember, Tayler left the island with Kay. So Tayler is currently in a committed relationship, just not with Taylor or Kay. Y'all heard that. He is not with Kay either. Oh, hold up now. Okay. The woman from with whom he left Temptation Island. From the beginning of the experiment, he was hot and heavy with Kay, but the two realized their lives didn't align during a conversation on their last date. We did not see that. We did not see a conversation where their lives didn't align. We were under the impression that the two of them were off to ride off into the sunset. So I find that very interesting that they had this very intense relationship. I wonder what it is. Kay, if you're out there and you see this video, please do a TikTok, an interview. I am nosy and I would like to know what it was that did not align to the point where you guys realized you were not going to be able to date. Anyway, heading into the final bonfire, Tyler says he chose to leave the island with Kay because they had formed such a strong bond. While he hasn't seen Kay since filming ended. Wow. So he left with Kay and then they decided they were not going to. Wow. I would really like to know what it was that they found out because they haven't even seen each other. Jeez. Okay. Tyler has run into Taylor quite a few times. After returning to Nashville, he saw her at the gym, which led to an emotional, hours long conversation about their experience, including the incendiary clips of Taylor saying bad things about him at the bonfire. She definitely went personal and overshared. Taylor apologized for her comments, the bitch tendencies, yada yada, but explained she wanted to be honest. Tyler says the two discussed a possible reconciliation, but he knew that he was not in a place to do that. 2 months later, after hearing that he started dating someone else, Tyler claims Taylor reached out to ask why he wouldn't give their relationship another chance. It was hard to navigate, he says. We haven't talked since that phone call. I've run into her at Costco and we didn't say anything to each other. Wow, Taylor. So you've been all up on this man. Let me find out you were not able to let go of this man. Baby. And then on top of that, Tyler, why are you talking about, I'm not in a place to be in a relationship and then getting into a new one? Just be honest and say, I don't want to be with you. We understand that the two of them they have a lot of things that clearly were not going to work out in the long run. They have different ideas of success, of stability. Remember, Tyler wants to be a model running around the world, and Taylor just doesn't like that stuff. So I just feel like their relationship was so heavy anyway. Why couldn't he just be real? At the same time, Taylor, why are you calling this man and begging him to be with you? Oh, hell no. Soon after Tyler returned home, a friend introduced him to a woman named Lauren and they hit it off. He credits the successes of his current relationship to Temptation Island, which pushed him to know himself better. It's been fun to talk openly about all their personal growth with Lauren, he says. Moving forward, Tyler has strong intentions for his future with his new romantic partner. He also has big plans for his career, having recently signed with a modeling agency. Hold up, skirt. I knew when he said he was a model that he didn't have a job, because I'm sorry, when someone says they're a model, a fitness trainer, real estate is a 50-50 on these shows, but I feel like those careers always means, I kind of do something, but I don't really have a job like that. I was keeping a stack. That's just the truth. So he just now signed with a modeling agency, but was supposedly a model for 11 months. So what were you, an IG model making no money? Ooh, Chile. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Another thing about Tyler is that he still seemingly jumps from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship because he's now in another relationship. This man talked about how he wanted to take time to be single and get to know himself and all of these different things. He was coming out of a divorce. He never got to know himself, and yet he's in another relationship. Oh, child. All right. Taylor. Taylor is single. She does not have any regrets about Temptation Island, including her comments about Tyler. I probably shouldn't have said B tendencies, but at the end of the day, I'm going to call it like I see it. Taylor was there to address the problems in the relationship with Tyler, who she maintains hadn't worked for a year and wasn't contributing financially. And we know that because he just got signed to a modeling agency. Baby, everybody want to talk about some, oh, this, oh, that. But at the end of the day, it was very clear this man ain't have a job. And again, he reminds me of the guy on 90 Day Fiance who lives with his mom that brought the girl from Nigeria over. And he's talking about some, I want to be a baker. But yet you're not making any money being a baker. It's like being a model. You can't say, I'm a model, but then decide to just financially non contribute. It just does not make sense to me. I don't get it. If you're going to have these things that are your dream jobs, you should be doing that as a side hustle in conjunction with something that's making money. At least a project, a temporary job, something. I don't know, a part time. Ooh, child. I did not say anything to make him purposefully look bad. We had issues, so I was not going to lie to everybody around me that everything was hunky dory. While Taylor accepts that some of her comments may have hit below the belt, she doesn't think they excuse Tyler cheating on her with Kay. After their first conversation following that gym run in, there was an additional phone call about possibly getting back together. I literally have screenshots of all of this because I know how this man is. Tyler was very emotional on the call and said that they would have to go to couples counseling in order for a reconciliation to work. That's why she was shocked to learn through a mutual friend that Tyler had just gotten back from a trip with his now girlfriend at the time. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, so I blocked him and never looked back, and we have not spoken since. Girl, he already cheated on you before. And you met him when he was in the process of being married still. Yes, he was supposedly about to divorce his ex-wife or whatever the plan was, but you met this man when he was in a relationship, and then he cheated on you when you guys were in said relationship, and you're shocked that he was with another woman while telling you that he wanted to be together? I'm not trying to blame it on her, but Taylor, what was even the point, girl? How you gonna go on the show, say he has B tendencies, he's all this and that, and he's a terrible guy, but then you were still begging him to get back together? And how are you gonna say, oh my God, I hate that he doesn't have a job, I hate that he doesn't make money? Stand on that. You were about to take him back anyway. And then now you want to drag him for the lack of job. See, Taylor annoyed me, okay? Taylor annoyed me. I do feel bad, obviously, because I empathize with any woman that goes through a relationship where she's cheated on and taken advantage of. But Taylor annoys me, girl, because I'm like, you can't say one thing and then go to another thing. Okay. Once she finally set a firm boundary, Taylor spent the next 6 months showing up for herself and not dating. She's now in therapy to continue working through her abandonment issues, which she says Temptation Island brought to the surface. After everything that's happened, Taylor is approaching the possibility of commitment with caution. I still need the time and space to continue to heal, she says. Choosing myself, I'll never lose. Ashley, single. First sentence, we got back together for a little bit. I knew it. Ashley and Grant have done this back and forth. It was very obvious that they were not fully done with each other. They have done this back and forth over and over again, and they're used to that dynamic. And I already told you, I could tell with, what was his name? Danny, that it was just not going to be real. I could already tell that was not a thing. So I'm not shocked they got back together. That was a shit show. The former couple's romantic roller coaster took off once again due to Grant's persistence, says Ashley, who did not speak to him for months following their time on the island. Then out of nowhere, Grant popped back into her life. I just ran into him out at the bar literally next to my house, and it went downhill from there, she says. He told me that he had been going out to all the places trying to run into me. And that turns you on, sis. Guard. Somebody call the guard, because that turns you on. If I heard that my ex was going around to local places around where I live trying to find me, hunty, I would want to be calling the cops. Let me tell you, what the F, girl? Okay, anyway. Ashley learned that after leaving the island alone, Grant began exclusively dating Natalie, the single he connected with, but he still chose to pursue Ashley, and they went on to date for 2 months. He cheated on Natalie with me, Ashley admits, sharing that their not so coincidental encounter occurred while Grant was still entangled with Natalie. Oh my God. Why did you want to get back with him? He cheated on you in y'all's relationship, and then he cheated on another girl to get back with you. Ashley, you like the mess. You like the mess, girl. You have got to do some soul searching because you like the mess. There is no way that this is something that made you feel warm and fuzzy feelings inside to the point where you wanted to get back to this man. There is no way. I refuse to believe that, Ashley. Go see the lady. I will give him credit. He did everything he could to try to fix it. I know she lying. I know this girl is lying. But there just really wasn't any coming back from everything that happened. I just couldn't let it go, and I never was going to believe or trust that he was really going to change. Moving forward, Ashley isn't opposed to dating, but it's not a priority. I was single for a very long time before Grant, and I was very okay with it. That said, her time on the island taught her a valuable lesson about her approach to relationships. I really need to pay attention to people's words and actions aligning, and I don't need to give someone a million chances just before because they beg for it. As for where she stands with Danny, the man with whom she left the island, they've settled into a friendship. We talked for a little bit, but it just fizzled out. I could tell there was nothing there. I said that over and over again. We live very different lifestyles, and we kind of knew that going in. I was more just trying to stay away from Grant. Yeah, it was very clear that Danny had a physical attraction to you, and you liked the attention. I don't know. I feel like anybody could see that. But Danny wasn't the only single who caught Ashley's eye. There were tiny things about Logan that kind of reminded me about Grant, so I slowly drifted towards Danny because he felt so safe. She says, in the outside world, though, she's gotten to know Logan's sweet and innocent nature. I still talk to Logan, Ashley reveals. I don't know that anything will come of that, but I do think he's a little cutie, so I flirt with him. Ashley, you say you're single, and I'm not saying there's even anything wrong with you casually dating, but baby, you need to see the lady. Because the fact that this toxicity is attractive to you is a problem. Is a problem. And I'm gonna need you to work on that. I didn't hear anything in here about her going to therapy or her doing some inner work. I don't like that. Grant, status, single. I left the island alone and I'm alone, Grant says of his life after Temptation Island. I'm single, working on myself. While he stayed relatively tight lipped on the details of his post experiment relationships, Grant is no longer attracted to Ashley, his original partner, or Natalie, the woman he hit it off with on the island. After witnessing Ashley talk trash about him in the bonfire clips, he's prioritizing his peace. In real life, I didn't know how she was talking about me to other people, Grant says. Hearing her talk badly about things she and I had talked about privately and made goals to further develop in our relationship sucked. Being around women who he felt were very different from Ashley made Grant rethink their commitment to one another. Meeting these girls who were soft and nice really just stuck it to me. That's what I need in a partner. For the record, Grant says he was only open to the idea of kissing Natalie because he was trying to force himself to get over Ashley. It was kind of my way of letting go, he says. At the same time, I didn't want Natalie to feel like a rebound. That girl is incredible. She's like the softest, sweetest person I've probably ever met, so I wanted to make sure that she felt cared about too. Grant's Temptation Island experience was filled with confusion, and he admits he could have taken more time before getting physical with Natalie, especially for Ashley's sake. I think I was very unaligned with my soul. I was so distracted and overwhelmed that my decisions at the time weren't extremely thought out, he admits. I still feel like being my wholehearted self, so I don't regret anything besides Ashley having to watch. Yeah, so he's not going to talk about the cheating, which leads me to believe Ashley. I mean, if you don't say your piece, then I believe Ashley. He wants to be tight-lipped. He doesn't want to say anything. Yeah, because he played both girls. He played both girls, and then it didn't work out with either one of them. Grant, stay single. Stay single. It's okay. Okay, are we going to see everybody? Okay, it's just Kay and Danny. All right. We'll talk about the singles. Kay. So after her final overnight date with Tayler on the island, Kay says it was pretty clear that the two wouldn't date. For starters, Kayans wanted Tyler to experience single life instead of jumping right into another relationship. While there's no denying they connected on a deep level, Kay's not convinced anything more than a friendship would have developed had they met off the island. Oh, wow. We were put in such a romantic setting. That's why it became romantic, she says. We still look back at it as a great experience. I think he's such a good guy, but I don't think he's my guy. Okay, now, Kay. That's very interesting because they portrayed you very, very differently on the show. They portrayed this relationship very differently on the show. And I do think, especially if you are one of the singles, that is something you have to think about. If you're one of the tempters or temptresses, you do really need to think about the fact that one, yes, the singles, some of them are just so desperate for positive attention that they're going to latch onto anything. So I respect Kay for being able to realize that maybe there was not going to be anything here. And if not, you were going to be a rebound that was probably going to fill some kind of void. And then things were probably going to still happen. The cycles, the patterns, all of these different things. A few months after Temptation Island, Kay gave her ex-boyfriend another shot. Now she's talking to someone new, but it's casual. Thanks to her time in the experiment, she's being more intentional about finding a partner who shares her core values. Moving forward, it's going to take a lot to get me invested in a relationship because I love talking about those things with Tyler, she explains. Kay has also learned how important it is to be present when getting to know someone new and how much closer you can get without distractions. We had no phones, so all we did was talk, talk, talk all day, every day. All right, Kay, good for you. I'm glad you did not go on to Tyler. Um, I'm glad that you realized that this was probably something, an island fling. As I said, an island fling. Danny, also single. So Danny and Ashley may not have dated after leaving the island hand in hand, but he's still very much in her corner. We ended up gaining a pretty cool story and connection, and we're still really good friends. Back home, Danny started a new job in direct sales that was physically and mentally demanding, so navigating a long distance relationship wasn't going to work. Since then, working, finishing school, and traveling have kept him busy, which means putting his dating life on the back burner. It's ultimately up to timing. He talks a lot about when the right girl comes around, he's going to be with her, but he experiences relationships with a stronger sense of adventure now, and super unique dates build strong connections. Alrighty, y'all. Whoo, that was a long one. Let me bring myself back up to the forefront. Alrighty, y'all. So I'm gonna say this. I think that all of these people, they need to do some inner work. I think the thing that surprised me the most was the fact that Ashley and Tayler went back home to beg for their man. Okay, Ashley didn't. Grant did try to find her or whatever the case may be. But the fact that Tayler was over there begging for Grants, yeah, nah. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about all of this. What do you think about these updates? Are you shocked? Do you think that Lino and Lex and Brion and Shanté are going to make it? Do you feel like any of these other people are going to make it or end up back together? This was interesting to read. I think this will be the last Temptation Island video. But thank you guys so much for watching over the course of this season. It has been very enjoyable to recap this show with you guys. I had a lot of fun. And I'm thinking about doing Pop the Balloon, not every time, but like maybe here and there in April when there's a little bit of a lull in other shows. I'm thinking about doing some Pop the Balloon reaction videos. We will see. We will see. We will see. I don't know because I don't like Pop the Balloon, but I do think it's interesting to talk about. So we shall see. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to this point in the video, that means you liked the video. So I would greatly appreciate it if you would support the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there and it inspires me to keep creating. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in my next one.